Hey guys, good morning. Okay, so one first thing I wanted to ask you guys, did you know that green squash was a zucchini? Like my mother and I, we went grocery shopping yesterday, and here's the thing. So she usually makes zucchini bread. My sister, my older sister, she makes banana bread, and they do these trade-offs once in a while. So I go grocery shopping with my mother, and she picks up a green squash, and I'm like, ugh, that's not a zucchini. She's like, no, green squash is a zucchini. And I didn't know that. So you guys in the comments to let me know. And this has nothing to do with what we're talking about today. I'm just like curious. Am I the only one who didn't know that green squash is a zucchini? I had no idea. So side note, that's just, but definitely tell me because I want to know. I didn't. And I'm just like, my brain is broken over that. Okay, guys, now to the real reason why we're having this conversation today and having coffee time right now. These dang text messages, yo. Yo, I don't know how I feel about Mike Walsh right now. Like, I feel like, okay, I'm questioning your loyalty because clearly you had this man's phone number. You had the journalist's phone number. Now, this journalist, okay, he has the initials of JG, which apparently what they're saying is the same initials as somebody who was a part of the administration. He got confused and he added this man instead of the actual person from the government who's supposed to be on these text messages. 18 people on the text. Journalist is included in the 18. He gets this information, he shares it with the American people. He didn't ask nobody to commit any crimes. He didn't commit any espionage to get the information. You added me to the text and I shared it with the American people. This may be the only time where really no one could be upset with him. Like, not even conservatives can be mad about him for getting it. You put me on the text. It's information when you're talking about plausible confrontation in Yemen over our property. Fair story. Good story. Something that the people should know about. Maybe not prior to the situation. Something that would have been better useful after the situation. Like, if anything, tactful release would have been a lot better. Let's see what the administration actually does and then release the text messages. But that would actually mean that the guy is a good guy. I don't believe this journalist is. I think he just got access to this information, clearly, and decided I'm going to share it with the American people. And as you saw in the hearings, they're making it more about the context of the text messages than they really are about them being on this platform, which is like another WhatsApp, right? But if there's anything that we've learned, I think even as consumers, remember, they came out with this warning for cell phone users in America saying that if you're sending text messages from Samsung to Apple, that they could be compromised by our adversaries, particularly China. But that if you're sending messages from Samsung to Apple using apps like WhatsApp and similar apps to WhatsApp, well, then they're probably going to be protected. They're more likely to be protected because these are encrypted messages. And so this was obviously something that was approved by the Biden administration on the government phones that they can actually use this app because the text messages are secure. So this wasn't that you were hacked, okay? This wasn't that your information was stolen, the texts were stolen, okay? And even when we say leak, that suggests that someone deliberately sent this, like intentionally, deliberately knowing that they were sending this information to a journalist. That's not what happened here. Mike Walsh added this journalist's name to the group text. What I want to know is, for a man who says he never met the guy, how did you get his number? Okay, if I want to create a group chat here and I add somebody's number, the only reason why I could add their number is because I have it. That's the only reason why. And what is the response to this? It was a mistake. They have been accusing this administration of being incompetent and foolish and stupid. The left does that. That's what they've been doing since the man got into office. That's what they've been arguing every time they saw Trump running during that previous campaign, right? Like, oh no, we can't have him there because he's too stupid to be in office. Then something like this happens, and can we really even defend it? Now, we can defend the position in the context of the messages. That we could do. Yeah, no, I'm not against the administration protecting our property in other countries. Because, I mean, now we can talk about America first, whether or not we like the idea of being involved in other countries. But if we got property and personnel out there, no, do what you got to do to protect them. If we can work our way to getting out of the situation, I would prefer that. But right now we're there. So protect what's ours. I'm okay with that. That's pretty much the whole point of these text messages. How do we best defend our situation, our property, our personnel against Yemen rebels? That's what this conversation is about. Seems to me that in the hearing, the Democrats are more concerned about that, which should say a lot about the Democrats, where the conservatives are more concerned about whether or not we should be utilizing these apps in the first place, which again is still problematic because the issue is not that you're using encrypted messaging apps. Clearly, it's encrypted, not easy to hack, not easy to steal this information. The only reason why it got out is because Mike Walsh added the journalist's number to the group chat because he confused his initials for somebody else's. You're in government? Yo, if I made that problem, if I made that same mistake working in insurance, that I added the wrong person to the group text who just so happens to work for another competitor in the industry, I'm liable to lose my appointment. with the insurance company because you shared information with someone who shouldn't have received this information to begin with. I mean, even if they weren't a competitor, you still shared internal information to someone who had no right to the information. It's like you signed a contract making sure that stuff like this didn't happen, and it happened. You can't work for McDonald's and then go to Burger King and then tell Burger King this is the secret to the fries. You can't work for Starbucks and then tell someone who works at Dunkin', this is how we do our coffee. You're sharing internal business with possible competitors and consumers, which might say yay or nay to why they do business with you at all. Like, yeah, nah, you can't just do that, okay? You should be protecting the information as seriously as SpongeBob protected the dang secret formula from Plankton, okay? You take it incredibly seriously. That if I were to make a mistake like this, I could lose my appointment, people could lose their jobs over this, okay? Like, you don't get to just do something like this, Mike, and say, yeah, I'm going to accept the full responsibility. Okay, yeah, great. What are the consequences, though? Should he suffer consequences? Because really, you guys, that's the question here. I didn't want to do a video about this, but then, of course, every day since this has happened, there's more text messages to be released because this JG guy, his initials, going by his initials, JG, has more text messages that were through up and through this. So he's got more text messages, more information's coming out. I saw another video that came out this morning that said there's more text that this guy's got with Pete Hegseth. I mean, this is ridiculous, okay? So yeah, this is a big problem. Mike, you can take full responsibility all you want, but this guy has full access to it. And unless whoever created the damn group chat deletes the group chat, does that mean this guy has no access to the same information? Like, this was a big mistake. I don't care what people say, it's a little, no, big mistake. You added his number, yo. You never met the guy. You don't know the guy, but you have his phone number. How did you get his phone number? Because if you didn't put it there, then who did? Who out of the 18, or I should say one out of the 17, because the journalist was the 18th, who here had that guy's number and added it to the group text? I'm a believer that if you create the group text, you're the one who added the number. So who created the group text? Who added the guy number? Who added this guy's number? Because why should I trust that you're here to actually push forward the America First agenda? We know from Trump's first administration, he had a fight. The deep state worked really, really hard. We know even in this administration, you got people working against the administration, right? We know from Pam Bondi and Kash Patel that there are some people in the FBI that are just not trying to have things happen. We learned that with the Epstein release. Totally botched, of course. We also know that there were leakers for the Homeland Security when it came to how they were going to get rid of these illegals. And then Christine Noem was saying she was going to get rid of them. She found them and got rid of them. Like, this is the whole situation here. Something that we actually have to discuss. There are people who are in the administration, who are in the government, who are just deliberately there to cause problems. Okay, I'm not talking about the Congress. We will get to that in a whole other episode. But we're talking about the people who were appointed in these roles. Can we trust them? Because somebody here had this man's number. Why? This journalist has never been objective or friendly, one could say, to the Trump administration, to the Trump team, to the Trump camp when he was running for office this time around. Like, this guy has just never been, objective or even likable to the conservative side. Who has this man's number? Why do you have this man's number? How do you accidentally add the name of a journalist because you confused him with somebody else? If you didn't have his number, there wouldn't have been any mix up. Why should I believe you? And okay, you take full responsibility. Great. Great. What are the consequences? Trump says he doesn't want to fire him. Okay, Mr. President, you don't want to fire him. Is he going to be demoted? Are there going to be some, is he going to be suspended? Is there going to be any kind of probationary parameters around what he has access to because of this hiccup, because of this mistake? This is not a little thing, okay? Because whatever strategies y'all were coming up with, you can't even use them now because now the adversary knows. The Yemen rebels now know these are some of the things that you were discussing. So now they can defend against all possible options that were discussed in these text messages. It's like, yo, every court show, I don't care if you're watching Judge Judy, I don't care if you're watching trial, Judge Judy, and then there's the Judy Justice. I'm like, I don't care what court show you are watching, but when you see text messages, it kind of gives you an understanding on how you should move, how you should react, how you should judge, what's the next step you actually take. I mean, you have to be more careful here. You can't just be making mistakes like this. Okay, again, they've been arguing since the man got into office, before he got into office the second time. that he was stupid, that he was incompetent, that this administration is stupid and incompetent. Excuse me, getting a call. That this administration is stupid and incompetent, and we can't have that. This so called mistake, okay, doesn't help. Doesn't help. I can't defend it. The journalist, with all of his issues, of course, can we really say he's the problem when you're the one who added him to the text messages? And then what did he do? Released it to the public. I mean, freedom of the press. That's his job. Something, a dime falls in his lap, you guys. Like $1 million just falls in this guy's lap, and we're surprised that he does something with this? Seriously? Is it really him? Or is it Mike Waltz? Can we trust him? I don't know. You guys are going to have to get in the comments and let me know, because I don't really know if I should trust this guy, because you had his number. You don't know him. You've never met him, but you got his number. You're going to have to make that make sense. And okay, you're taking responsibility for this mistake. Great. But that's like when I took responsibility when I was a kid, telling my parents, yeah, I did come in the house after the street light. Okay, so you were honest. You took responsibility for that. So because you're being honest and you're telling the truth, your consequence won't be so harsh, but you will suffer consequences. So you may not be fired because we didn't have to go on a hunt as to who's responsible for how and why this happened. But the fact that it happened is why you have to see a consequence. I don't know if it's a demotion. I don't know if we're going to suspend him. I don't know if we're going to put parameters here around his access. Something has to happen, because this does not help the argument when we argue that we're actually quite intelligent people, and this administration knows what they're doing, which obviously they do, because the context of the text messages clearly show that they're trying to work out and debate what's the best battle strategy to protect our personnel and our profit and property out in Yemen. Clearly shows exactly that. And you could spin it however which way you want. Say that, hey, the most transparent, we did add a journalist to the text message. Doesn't help, okay? Because that's a terrible spin. Terrible spin. So you guys get in the comments. Let me know. Do we think that Mike Waltz is trustworthy? Because I really don't know. I don't know enough about him to call him a traitor. But I know I don't like this. This doesn't help at all. I support what the goal is with Yemen, to stop the Yemen rebels from destroying our property and harming our personnel. Like, I'm for that. But now you can't use any of these strategies because of this mistake. I would lose my appointment. SpongeBob would be fired. Most people would be fired or suffer some consequences. And we can't just have it that because it's the government. I don't care if it's our guy in office. I don't care. If it's either we believe in accountability and consequences when people make terrible decisions and bad mistakes, because this is a bad mistake, or we don't believe that. We're either about it or we're not about it, okay? Like, rules for thee and not for me. If we really are against that concept, then there needs to be some consequences here. That's what I think. There's more information coming about this text message stuff, but I'll tell you, this is the last video I'm going to make about this. I've made it clear. I don't like that this happened. I don't know enough about Mike Waltz to call him a traitor. I don't like that he added this journalist's name. Makes me question his loyalties, yes, but I don't know enough about him to call him a traitor. The issue is not that they're using this app. The issue is not the battle strategies that they were debating in the text messages to protect our profits, our property, and our personnel. That's not the problem. The problem is that you had government workers using government phones on a secure encrypted text message app that accidentally added a journalist. And I think there should be consequences. You guys let me know in the comment section. I will talk to you guys later on an Archie's Briefings episode that I will be doing today. It's not obviously going to be about this. We're going to talk about Jasmine Crockett, you guys, because I feel like, this woman just deserves her own special segment. We're going to call it the Crockett Corner, you guys, because she just keeps popping up over and over again. And we haven't even gotten to Saturday yet, which is her birthday, March 29th. There's a lot we're all expecting. So we're going to talk about that today on Archie's Briefings. Definitely look forward to having that conversation with you guys. Remember to get in the comments today. Follow, subscribe, share, like, the whole nine. Love you guys. Talk to you later. Kepla.